Hey, have you ever felt like you're losing someone you love right in front of your eyes, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't reach them? I'm Tom, a single dad from the suburbs of Chicago, and I'm living that nightmare every single day with my 16-year-old daughter, Abby. She's slipping away from me, slamming doors, sneaking out at night, and looking at me like I'm the enemy. I thought I knew her better than anyone, but now I'm starting to wonder if I ever did. And just when I thought things couldn't get worse, I stumbled on something in her room that turned everything I thought I knew upside down. Stick with me, because this isn't just about a rebellious teen. It's about whether I can save my family before it's too late. I don't even know where to start with this mess, but I guess I'll take you back to how it all began, back to the days when Abby and I were a team, before the walls went up between us. If you've ever fought to hold on to someone who's pushing you away, you'll get why I'm pouring my heart out here. Let's dive in. I've always thought of myself as a pretty decent dad. Not perfect, mind you, but decent. I'm 42 now, and I've been raising Abby on my own since her mom, Sarah, passed away from breast cancer when Abby was just 6. Those early years were rough. God, they were rough. I'd come home from my job as a warehouse supervisor, bone-tired, and still have to figure out how to braid Abby's hair for school or explain why mommy wasn't coming back. But we got through it together. Abby was my little shadow back then, always clinging to my hand, giggling at my dumb dad jokes, and begging me to read her bedtime stories. I'd lie awake at night sometimes, staring at the ceiling of our little split-level house in Oak Park, just outside Chicago, wondering how I'd make it without Sarah. But Abby's smile kept me going. She was my reason. Fast forward to now, and I barely recognized that little girl. Somewhere along the way, around the time she hit 13, something shifted. It started small. Eye rolls, sassy comebacks, the usual teen stuff. I figured it was just a phase, you know? I mean, I was a teenager once too, back in the 90s, sneaking out to smoke behind the high school with my buddies. I got it. But then it got worse. By the time she turned 15, Abby was staying out past curfew, hanging with kids I didn't know, kids with piercings and attitudes that made my skin crawl. I'd wait up for her, sitting on the couch with the TV on mute, watching the clock tick past midnight, my stomach in knots. When she'd finally stumble in, reeking of cigarette smoke or worse, she wouldn't even look at me, just march straight to her room and slam the door. I'd sit there, hands clenched, wondering where I went wrong. Our house used to be full of noise. Abby's laughter, the clatter of dishes as we cooked spaghetti together on Sundays, even the sound of Sarah's old jazz records spinning on the turntable. Now it's just silence, broken only by the occasional shouting match. I've tried everything to get through to her, grounding her, taking away her phone, even dragging her to family counseling last spring. Nothing works. She just stares at the floor, arms crossed, like she's counting the seconds until she can bolt. I've caught myself yelling more than I'd like to admit, my voice booming through the house, telling her she's throwing her life away. But the truth is, I'm scared. Scared she'll end up in real trouble, drugs, bad relationships, or worse. Scared I'm losing the only family I've got left. Oak Park in the fall is beautiful, by the way. The leaves turn this fiery mix of orange and red, and the air smells crisp, like apples and wood smoke. I used to take Abby for walks down by the park near our house when she was little. We'd collect leaves, press them between the pages of old books, and she'd name each one like they were her pets. I walk that same path alone now, kicking at the leaves, trying to figure out how to fix this. The neighborhood hasn't changed much, same old brick houses, same nosy neighbors peeking through their curtains, but I feel like a stranger in my own life. I keep thinking about Sarah, wondering what she'd do if she were here. She always had a way with Abby, a softness I've never been able to match. I'm more of a tough-it-out kind of guy, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe I've been too hard on her, or not hard enough. I don't know. The real breaking point came about 6 months ago, right after Abby's 16th birthday. I'd saved up to get her this little silver necklace with a tiny heart charm, something I thought she'd love. I wrapped it up nice, even wrote a card telling her how proud I was of the young woman she was becoming, even if we were butting heads. I left it on the kitchen table for her to find when she got home from school. But that night, she didn't even come home. I waited until 2 a.m., calling her phone over and over, getting nothing but voicemail. When she finally showed up the next morning, her eyes bloodshot and her hoodie torn, I lost it. I screamed at her, asking where the hell she'd been, if she even cared that I was worried sick. She just shrugged, muttered something about being with friends, and walked past the gift like it wasn't even there. I found it later, still unopened, shoved under a pile of junk mail. That hurt more than anything. It wasn't just about the necklace. It was like she was rejecting me, all of me. I started to wonder if I was the problem. Maybe I'd been too strict, too focused on rules instead of listening. Or maybe I'd been too soft, letting her get away with too much because I felt guilty about Sarah being gone. I'd lie awake at night, replaying every argument in my head, trying to pinpoint the moment I lost her. Was it when I missed her school play in 8th grade because I had to work overtime? Or when I started dating again a couple of years ago, and she accused me of trying to replace her mom? I broke it off with that woman pretty quick after that, but the damage was done. Abby's trust in me seemed to crack, and I've been trying to glue it back together ever since. I've got memories of better times, though, and they haunt me. Like the summer when Abby was 10, and we took a road trip to Lake Michigan. Just the two of us, windows down, blasting old Springsteen songs while she sang along off-key. We stayed in this cheap little motel right on the shore, and every morning we'd walk down to the water, skipping stones and talking about nothing important. She told me then that she wanted to be a marine biologist, save the whales or something. I laughed and said she could be anything she wanted, as long as she didn't forget her old man. She promised she wouldn't. Now, I wonder if she even remembers that trip, or if it's buried under all the anger she carries around. Things kept spiraling. Last month, I got a call from her school counselor saying Abby had been skipping classes, her grades were tanking, and they'd caught her vaping in the bathroom. I sat her down that night, trying to keep my cool, asking her what was going on. She just stared at me, her blue eyes, Sarah's eyes, cold and distant, and said, "You wouldn't get it, Dad. You never do." That cut deep. I wanted to shake her, to demand she tell me what I was missing, but I just sat there, defeated. I felt like a failure, like I'd let Sarah down by not keeping our girl safe. I started checking on her more, going through her social media when she wasn't looking, trying to figure out who she was hanging with. I hated myself for it, but I was desperate. Then, a week ago, everything changed. I was in her room, picking up laundry, something I rarely do because she's so territorial about her space, when I noticed this old shoebox tucked under her bed. I don't know why I looked inside. Maybe it was instinct, or maybe I was just being nosy, but I did. Inside were dozens of folded-up pieces of paper, some yellowed with age, all written in Abby's messy handwriting. I unfolded one, and my heart stopped. It was a letter, dated a year after Sarah died, addressed to Mom. It said things like, "I miss you so much it hurts. Dad tries, but he doesn't understand. I don't want to be a burden, so I don't tell him how sad I am." I read another, and another, each one more heartbreaking than the last. They weren't just old letters, some were recent, written just weeks ago. In one, she wrote, "I keep messing up, Mom. I know Dad's mad, but I don't know how to stop. I feel so alone, and I'm scared I'll never be okay." I sat there on her bed, the letters scattered around me, feeling like the ground had dropped out from under me. All this time, I thought her rebellion was just teenage defiance, maybe even a way to hurt me. But it wasn't. It was pain. Pain she'd been carrying for years, pain she didn't know how to share with me. I felt a wave of guilt so heavy I could barely breathe. How had I missed this? How had I not seen that my little girl was drowning? And instead of throwing her a lifeline, I'd been yelling at her for getting wet. I wanted to cry, to scream, to go back in time and hold her tight until she knew she wasn't alone. But I couldn't. All I could do was sit there, clutching those letters, wondering how to fix a decade of missed signals. I thought about all the times I'd pushed her away without meaning to. Like when she'd try to talk to me after a long day at work, and I'd brush her off because I was too tired. Or when she'd draw me pictures as a kid, and I'd stick them on the fridge without really looking, too distracted by bills or grief. I realized I'd been so wrapped up in my own pain over losing Sarah that I hadn't seen Abby's. We'd both been grieving, but I'd assumed I was the only one carrying the weight. I was wrong. So wrong. I didn't tell Abby I found the letters. I couldn't. I put them back exactly where they were, my hands shaking, and left her room before she got home. But now I can't stop thinking about them. Every time I see her, I want to pull her into a hug and tell her I'm sorry, that I'm here, that she doesn't have to be alone. But I'm scared. Scared she'll push me away again, or worse, that she'll feel betrayed that I invaded her privacy. I've been walking on eggshells around her since, trying to be softer, asking her how her day was even though I know she'll just grunt in response. I've even started leaving little notes on the kitchen counter, just saying things like, "I'm here if you need me," hoping she'll read them and feel something. I don't know if she does. I've been thinking a lot about Sarah too. She always knew how to get through to Abby, even when she was throwing tantrums as a toddler. Sarah would just sit with her, not saying much, just being there until Abby calmed down. Maybe that's what I need to do. Stop trying to fix everything and just be there. But it's hard. I'm not good at sitting still, at letting things unfold. I want to do something to make this right. I've even considered showing Abby the letters, telling her I read them, and using that as a way to start a real conversation. But what if that breaks whatever trust we have left? What if she hates me for it? I keep walking by the park, watching the leaves fall, thinking about how time slips away so fast. Abby's 16 now. In 2 years, she'll be out of the house, off to college or wherever life takes her, and I might not get another chance to mend this. I don't want to look back and regret not trying harder, but I also don't want to push her further away. I'm stuck, caught between fear and hope, between the past and a future I can't predict. I've been reading those letters in my mind over and over, hearing Abby's voice in every word, and it's tearing me apart. She's hurting, and I don't know how to help her without breaking everything. I've started looking into grief counseling again, not just for her, but for both of us. Maybe if we go together, we can start to unpack all this pain we've been carrying. Or maybe I should just give her space, let her come to me when she's ready. I've also been thinking about writing her a letter of my own, telling her everything. How much I love her, how sorry I am for not seeing her pain sooner, how I want to be the dad she needs. But I don't know if she'd even read it, or if it would just end up in that shoebox, unopened like the necklace. So here I am, sitting in my living room as the sun sets over Oak Park, the house quiet except for the hum of the fridge. Abby's upstairs, probably on her phone, and I'm down here, wrestling with what to do next. I want to save my daughter, to save us, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I should confront her about the letters, or wait for her to open up on her own. I don't know if I'm strong enough to sit with her pain, or if I'll just make things worse. All I know is that I love her more than anything, and I'd give up everything to see her smile again, to hear her laugh like she did on that road trip to Lake Michigan. I guess that's why I'm telling you all this. I'm at a crossroads, and I could use some advice. If you've been through something like this, how did you get through to someone who's shutting you out? Should I tell Abby I found the letters and risk her trust, or keep quiet and hope she comes to me? Or is there another way, something I'm not seeing? I'm not sure what the future holds for us, but I'm not giving up. I can't. She's my world, even if she doesn't know it right now. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm reading every single one. Thanks for listening, and I'll keep you posted on what happens next.